Alrighty.
Hey, I'm Kenzie, and I'm your stereotypical girl from the Midwest. I love going on drives through the middle of nowhere, homemade baked goods, and of course, basketball. Seems pretty normal, right? Well, what if I told you one of my favorite things ever is women's basketball? That's right, today I'm going to be talking about the lovely lady ballers of our country and their support, or should I say lack thereof. Now I know what most of you guys are thinking. Women's basketball is so boring. I promise, it's like the NBA, just add a W. And no, this speech isn't about Luka Doncic possibly winning MVP this year. It's about Asia Wilson. You don't know who that is? See, that's the problem. Women's basketball is just as important as men's basketball. In this speech, I'll bounce around some of the stigma attached to the women's game, the defense that calls us, and how to score some solutions for the lady ballers. Now, you think I might be over-exaggerating about how little people care about women's basketball, but it's all around us. Take our university, for example. Last year I went to a UNI game, and I was able to get front row seats halfway through the second quarter. This is the biggest issue with women's basketball, which nobody cares about it. It's sad, but true. Even I'm embarrassed to talk about with some of my closest friends. They're always like, Kenzie, what are you talking about? We didn't see that on TikTok. Basketball is such an important part of society, but women's basketball is the opposite. Take March Madness, for example, one of the biggest events for sports fans. I bet over half the people who religiously watch the tournament didn't even realize there's one for women as well. There's no secret that the WNBA is not as glorified as the NBA. This results in players getting paid about as much as McDonald's workers. Artist Time states for the 2019 season, the highest paid NBA player, Steph Curry, was paid $40 million. In the WNBA, DeWanna Potter received $127,000. That's a $38 million difference. This is why ladies are forced to play overseas during the off-season. Now, while LeBron James is chilling in his beach house during the off-season, Diana Taurasi, the best WNBA player ever, is dying of hypothermia in Russia. Now, I want to know some of you guys. Does anyone here know who the Rookie of the Year was this year for the WNBA? What about the oldest WNBA player either? No one knows? Well, I'll tell you why. Stereotypes cause women not to play basketball. Growing up, both boys and girls are encouraged to participate in sports. This begins to change as boys' sports are popularized where girls are not. I've seen something like this happen firsthand. My mighty 8th grade basketball team of 20 went to 4 girls going out in high school. 2017 Refinery 29 article says, girls drop out of sports 2 times more at the age of 14 than boys. Sports are starting to be around something boys like and that boys play. It does make sense that boys typically stick with sports more than girls. I mean, how can you blame us? Hardly any women's sports, especially basketball, are highlighted on TV, and this gives no example for young girls to look up to. The WNBA gets 10 ESPN games streamed per season, while the NBA gets 10 ESPN games streamed per team. While I do see them highlighted in the media, it's always talked about negatively. The games are so cheap, but nobody comes and supports. Forbes magazine said in 2018 the average NBA ticket price is $89, while the WNBA price is almost $18. As much as people can make fun of them for having no fans, they have to realize it's hard to start a fire without any matches. You haven't heard of any famous celebrities talking about the league, but mass media hasn't even given them a chance to find it. Honestly, I don't know about anything about women's basketball either, until about 3 years ago when I watched the March Madness tournament, the game between Mississippi State and UConn, the best women's basketball team ever. I then watched some of their players travel into the WNBA, where they play for the Indiana Fever, my favorite team. And I'll never forget how much that single game changed my life. I also just want to add how awkward it is walking around campus wearing a shirt that says Fever in the middle of a pandemic. No wonder they have the highest amount of COVID cases for a WNBA team. The women's game will be better off if they're given more spotlight in the media. NBA players have been trying to help promote the league, with one of their biggest supporters being Kobe Bryant. His daughter loved basketball, and he wanted not only her, but the world to know how important the WNBA is. This year, due to the pandemic, the leagues played in a bubble where no fans were allowed. More games were broadcast on ESPN than ever before. If this sport continues, who knows where the game could go in a couple of years. Women deserve the better salary, period. Not only are they athletes, but they have families that they need to take care of, and it's impossible to do so if they're getting paid so little and having to play overseas. I'm not trying to take anything away from the NBA, but I feel like there could be some salary cuts made just a little bit, or start distributing the money differently. Kevin Durant might not be able to get a new car each year, but he'll survive. 2020 WNBA MVP Asia Wilson tweeted last year about LeBron's $154 million contract. Must be nice. We're over here looking for $1 million, but Lord, let me get back in my lane. Now the speech. The problems and causes about women's basketball to talk about and how the stigma can be changed. I really hope you guys will care just a little bit more about it now. It really is just important as men's basketball. And the next time you see a game on TV, don't flip the channel. I promise, the Million Laker game repeat will be on there again. Hopefully, in a couple years, Lady Ballers will be just known as Ballers. I know I would really love that.